Good afternoon or evening now at this point, everyone. I am coming to you with the beginning parts of the Great Babylon and the Great Harlot part of this series. This is going to be several videos. The 17th and 18th chapters of the book of Revelation covers this particular topic. Great Babylon and the Great Harlot are both the same entity. At the end of this, at the end of the second video, I've got two videos just for chapter 17 because it covers a lot of information. There's a lot of things intel with it, a lot of detail. I'm going to go through and read and discuss scripture as I go. And then, like I said, at this first video, I'm going to do that. The second video, I'm going to recap everything, draw things to a conclusion, and then reveal who Great Babylon is here in these latter days. It's kind of how I'm going to have to do it. And then I will move to a third and possible fourth video for the chapter 18. Chapter 17 discusses more of the Antichrist's dealings with Great Babylon. Chapter 18 deals with the wrath of God upon Great Babylon, the Great Harlot, whichever you want to call it, however you want to say it. But that's how I'm going to be. I'm just going to begin reading. In Revelation chapter 17, we're going to go through all these verses and discuss in this first video. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay, just in that last part of verse 1, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The many waters suggest that this is a global superpower. There's several scriptures in this chapter that suggest this is a global superpower. For her to sit upon many waters. Okay, keep that in mind. Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Verse 2 is saying that this entity, this nation, all of the kings of the earth, the majority of the kings of this earth have dealt with her. Some form, some way, somehow, whatever. That's what it's meaning by like fornication, being in bed with her. You know, this entity is the lead of all these nations coming together, these kings, these presidents, kings, rulers of the world, partaking of her. And they were drunk, you know, with the wine of her fornication. That means that they're like really deep in her, like really up in her lustfulness, you know, illustriousness, however you want to call it. This chapter, the way that here in the Bible that it describes it, it's kind of in a sensual sense. You know, sexual sins in the Bible are considered really bad. There's a lot of things. Murder would be at the top of the list. I know that goes beyond this. But, you know, sexual sins is up there at the top with a lot of these sins because, well, as human beings, we're created to be sexual with a spouse, one man, one woman, together. That's how God intended things to be. Okay, verse 3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The names of blasphemy, this is in suggestion that this place is very sinful, very blasphemous toward God. You know, very, lots of reprobation of mind going on, you know, in this place. And she sits upon this beast. The beast, in this particular instance, it says, having 7 heads and 10 horns, that's the Antichrist. She's going to end up sitting upon this man, so to speak. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Verse 4 here, all of that I just read suggests that this is a nation of great wealth. Lots of wealth, lots of commerce, lots of goods and products from her. You know, with the decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, and then the golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness. I just said that for verse 3 about the blasphemies. It's a very filthy place, very sinful and degrading. Verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. Okay. Her name is suggestive already. Hold on one second, please. Sorry about that. My pet was causing a bit of a stir over there. But anyway, mystery. This is saying, in John's time when he wrote this down, wrote the book of Revelation, this entity, this nation, Great Babylon, did not exist. That's why it's a mystery. So, there are some people who teach and believe that the kingdom of the beast, the Antichrist, will be Great Babylon, and also that the kingdom, or Israel, Jerusalem, they will become Great Babylon at the end because the Antichrist is going to set up there, whatever. But it's not, because further on in this chapter, we see the kingdom of the beast. We also see it in chapter 13. It talks about the kingdom of the beast. And Jerusalem, Israel, they've been known for thousands of years, all the way back to the beginning when Israel was established as a nation for the very first time. So it's neither one of them that are a mystery. This place did not exist at the time that John wrote Revelation. And she's going to be the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, which means she's going to be the most sinful place, the most sensual, sinful place on the planet when she comes into the picture. Verse 6, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Okay, this place here, Great Babylon, the great harlot, a lot of saints are going to lose their life within this nation, this entity, this great power in the latter days during the time of the Antichrist. I'll discuss a few things. I think it's the next video when I recap. But what I find very peculiar here and very interesting, when John writes over here, he says, when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So even John, being an apostle of Jesus Christ, here he is on the Isle of Patmos writing Revelation. He has been spending all of his time with God because there's nobody else there. He was in exile, left there to die. So he's been spending all his time with God. A really righteous man, but yet in this moment, he got caught up in this place's lustfulness. Just for a moment, he didn't partake of anything. It was just, she was so beautiful. It was almost like this place is so, how should I put it? Deceitful. Thank you, God. It's such a deceitful place to look upon her. She's so beautiful, and the lusts thereof and the beauty thereof, but yet she's so deceitful, and that deceitfulness is what sucked John in there for a split moment. That's how powerful of the deception will be within this entity, Great Babylon. Verse 7, and the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? I'll tell thee the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. Verse 8, the beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is. It's a lot of tongue twisters there. Of course, it's talking about the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit. Here, he's going to go into perdition. This is the Antichrist, of course. And they that dwell on the earth are going to wonder here. And I don't know if from my Antichrist series from chapter 13, if people remember this or not, but this is speaking about that deadly wound of one of the 7 heads that the Antichrist suffers, and it was magically healed. This is that, because it also says to go with that in chapter 13, and I'll go over there in a minute and read those 2 verses. I think it's 13 verse 4, if I'm not mistaken. It also says that all the people that worship the beast and reverence him, they're going to wonder. They're going to be like, who can make war with him? What's going to happen here? This is the first destruction of Great Babylon. It's not a big, great destruction, and I get into this a little further in a minute. But he's going to have to make this nation succumb to him, this particular place, because they are so independent. Alex, like I said, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself. But it's going to cause the people of the world to wonder after the beast and after this place, because he has to bring them under his submission. All nations, every kingdom of the world will be up under the Antichrist before it's over, because he will rule the entire world before the saints are raptured. All this stuff takes place. And then verse 9, it says, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. 7 mountains equals the 7 continents of the world. 7 mountains, mountains being land, earth. You know, at first, in the first verse, it says the water sits upon many waters. She's also on the waters, but she's also over the 7 mountains of the world, which is the 7 continents of the world. Which also ties into the fact that all the kings of the world have partook of her, the fornication with her, you know, traded with her, commerce with her, bought goods from her. So remember that. That means a global superpower, the global superpower, the one that's at the top of them all. Verse 10, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Verse 11, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. I know that's a lot of tongue twister and a lot of like back and forth between 7, 8, 7. Here's what that's saying. It's kind of like you need to just focus here on he is the 8th and is of the 7. The 8th person in this realm is Satan, but he's of the 7. That's the Antichrist. The Antichrist and Satan are one, because Satan is the father of the Antichrist. Like Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son of God the Father, and they are one. In this day and time for the Antichrist, his father is Satan, and they are one. So he is let me read it right. He is the 8th and is of the 7 as well. That's what that's talking about. Verse 12, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet. This is where I was discussing the kingdom of the beast. His kingdom is going to have 10 kingdoms within it. 10 nations and 10 kings. And they're going to give power. Verse 13, it even says that. And these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So, all of these kings, all of these nations, specifically these kings though, these 10 kings are going to give their mind over to, they're going to sell themselves to the devil, essentially, take the mark, and they're all going to have the same mindset. It's a supernatural thing that Satan's going to do in these people to make them agree with the beast, essentially. Verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with... I think I missed a line. Let's read verse 14 one more time. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Now, I read it right. Something didn't click right at first with me. this specific verse is talking about the Battle of Armageddon when Jesus Christ which returns. You know, all the armies are going to come up against Jerusalem there at the very end. The Antichrist is going to cause that to happen, even though he's set up in his kingdom there in Israel, in Jerusalem. He's going to draw them all there to rise up against Israel and try to destroy them, and then Jesus Christ is going to come down and stop it in his second coming. Verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. This entity, Great Babylon, is going to be a diverse, very diverse nation. It's going to have multiple nationalities, multiple tongues are going to be there. You know, that's talking about different languages, of course, whatever they may be. So a lot of different people are going to be in this place. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest, upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Verse 17, for God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. I've done touched on this, like I said I was going to come to it. Verses 16 and 17 make that suggestion. I'll read it again slowly. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. The nation, this entity, Great Babylon, is not going to cooperate with the Antichrist when he establishes the one world order. And so he's going to have to succumb this nation to him, this particular entity. And it says, burn her with fire. There's going to be warfare going on to bring the nation down. It suggests that the nation is independent, free, wealthy. It has to be, because independence, people who become very independent, nations who become very independent, they don't want to just succumb to something, especially free nations. And I'm starting to get off into who the entity is, but it may start sounding, you may start being able to pick up on who this entity is by the things that God has revealed to me from this chapter. It's quite impressive what God laid on my heart. But verse 18, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So this great nation, once again, it ties it all. It's like verse 18 is a recap, all in one small verse that recaps it all. She rules over the whole kings of the earth, all nations under her, basically, because this entity is the global superpower of them all. Okay, I'm going to look at my notes to make sure that I have everything covered, because I don't want to leave anything out at all. I discussed that. Yep. Oh yeah, verse 4, back over here, I forgot to say that. She was arrayed in purple, in scarlet color. She's beautiful. Beautiful place. Wealthy place, as I've already mentioned. Let's see. Okay, I want to say this too. I did leave this out. Verse 3, it talks about right here. Yes, I've done read it. John says, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast. He's saying a woman here, right? And I've also said too that Jerusalem, Israel, they've already been known. But if you look back in the Old Testament, Israel has been referred to as a he. And if you look in the book of Jeremiah, it's in there a lot that Israel is a he. So this is not Israel. This is not going to be the kingdom of the beast, because the kingdom of the beast, he will set up shop in Israel. So it's not got nothing to do with that. So whoever's taught that, it's not by their fault, of course, like I've said many times. It's just, that was an interpretation. This is what God revealed to me. This is how it is going to be. I'm very confident, because when God gives us something. When Jesus reveals us things, we know. There's no shaking it. Okay. Yes, I got that. Yes, I got that. Got that. Yes. Okay. I've got all of these notes. I'm actually going to cut the video here at 20 minutes, 20 and a half minutes, and I'm going to go to the next video, and I'm going to keep going with it till I get over here and get this one done, and then I'll get them out. But I'm going to reveal in this next video who Great Babylon is. So stay tuned.